Okay, if you could just state your name and your title.
Rick Thoman, and I'm a lead forecaster with the National Weather Service in Fairbanks.
So, in Toke, I have pictures of minus 71 degrees and minus 80 degree readings off of a Davis Vantage Pro 2 weather station. What do you think happened to get those kinds of readings?
Well, the Davis Vantage Pro 2 weather stations are quite good home weather stations, but they're not really designed to work at the very low temperatures that occur in interior Alaska and in the upper Tanana Valley here in Tok. Our best guess is the Vantage Pro 2 has a lithium battery that lives outside, and as that battery cooled to well below 40 below, the battery just was not supplying the power that the thermometer was expecting across it and was producing erroneously low readings.
Now, Davis obviously doesn't guarantee any readings below, what, minus 40?
Minus 40 is what the manufacturer states their equipment works to.
So what were the other readings around the same time in this area?
The National Weather Service Cooperative Observer here in Tok recorded a low for the entire cold snap of 63 below. At the Northway Airport, 61 below. And up the Taylor Highway at Chicken, we had a Weather Service Cooperative Observer report 68 below, also 68 below at the Cooperative Observer near the 40-mile river on the Taylor Highway.
Oh, could you explain what a cooperative observer is?
Cooperative observer for the National Weather Service is an individual or an organization that agrees to voluntarily take weather observations, typically once a day, and send them to the Weather Service. The Weather Service supplies the equipment for that. And this day and age, most people take their daily weather observations of high and low temperatures, precipitation, snow, snowfall, and snow depth, and enter that on the internet, and that is sent to the National Weather Service, and then we disseminate that data to the public.
Now, what about these sites like Weather Underground? I mean, how accurate could these readings be, and should people rely on things they see on other sites?
The Weather Underground is a very nice weather site. It incorporates a lot of weather data from a lot of different sources, and also offers the option for people with the appropriate software and computer and internet connections to download their data directly to the Weather Underground. So that's very nice. There is no quality control of that data. So like everything on the internet and in life, you know, you have to approach with some caution and buyer beware, so to speak.
So then how can the average citizen contribute to weather observation? Obviously, not everyone can become one of these cooperative observers, but what are some other ways that we can contribute just as the average citizen?
Well, the National Weather Service, in addition to the Cooperative Observer Program, we also have a Weather Spotter Program, which involves basically letting the Weather Service Forecast Office know about severe weather or predetermined significant weather for your area. That's a, you know, just as severe weather happens, so that's one way to get involved. And the other way is, you know, participate in things like online weather. Put your weather data on the internet. The National Weather Service Forecast Office in Fairbanks, we are looking at that kind of stuff all the time, and it is very useful.
So then what kind of equipment should the layperson have, and what are the different options, and what could they expect to spend in order to set themselves up with something that would truly be useful?
Well, for most folks in the United States, with the potential exception of interior Alaska, most of the home weather stations will work quite well. For those in interior Alaska or places where it regularly drops below 40 below, your options are going to be more limited. The home weather stations that connect to the internet are going to, you know, run in the $500 to $1,000 range. Certainly one thing that we think that might be good would be if you have a system that runs on power that's not from a battery that's living outside. That may help you get reasonably accurate temperature readings colder than minus 40.
And then what about the liquid temperature, liquid thermometers. What are those all about, and around how much do they run?
The old standard kind of Weather Service, Weather Bureau standard of just an alcohol thermometer with that registers minimum temperature, been around for over a century, and amazingly enough, they are still manufactured for a alcohol thermometer, minimum registering temperature thermometer that records down to 80 below. I believe the last time we checked on the internet, those were running about $80. So not terribly expensive, pretty low tech, but if you're really serious about recording really low temperatures, a liquid and glass thermometer properly exposed is really the gold standard of accuracy.
And properly exposed means what?
Properly exposed means making sure it's sheltered from the sun and for very low temperatures. Also making sure it's sheltered from the sky. You can actually get anomalously low readings if you just set that thermometer outside, and the bulb itself will actually cool more than the air temperature. So the standard is what's called a cotton region shelter. It's a little wood box that thermometers live in. Don't necessarily need to get that fancy, but just setting it out on the porch is probably not going to be good either.
Okay, now what are the coldest temperatures recorded that we're sort of looking at as the standard of coldest temps?
The lowest officially recognized temperature in the state of Alaska is 80 below. That was recorded at Prospect Creek up the Dalton Highway in January of 1971. The North American record was located not too far east of Tok, just across the Yukon border at Snag, Yukon Territory. That community is now known as Beaver Creek, and they recorded 81 below back in the 1940s.
And so Tok is a cold place. What makes it so cold, and also the surrounding areas? Like, what is happening that we are really getting such cold weather?
Well, the Upper Tanana Valley in the 40-mile country is really prime cold air manufacturing country. That's perhaps the biggest business of the Upper Tanana Valley is manufacturing cold air. You have a relatively high elevation. Tok is at over 1,500 feet elevation. You have a broad valley where the cold air can settle in, and that makes it very hard to get the wind to work its way down to break up that inversion. Tok's at 63 north latitude, so in midwinter there is no significant heating from the sun. And the same applies throughout the Upper Tanana Valley on up into the 40-mile country. High elevation, high latitude, valleys, prime ingredients for getting real cold.
So global warming, that's obviously a term that's thrown around a whole lot in very controversial ways. When people see really, really cold temperatures, some people say, well, that's proof there is no global warming. How would you address that kind of skepticism and explain, especially to a layperson, why cold temperatures like this could actually be a sign of global warming?
Well, I think the big thing to keep in mind is that cold temperatures, as we had in early January in Alaska, even a 2-week period, we're really talking about weather. And global warming is really about climate, and there's a big difference between climate and weather. Climate is the statistics of weather. You're interested in averages over many years, 30 to 50 years. So obviously 2-week period out of 30 to 50 years is just a tiny fraction. So any weather event, whether it's extreme heat or extreme cold anywhere, really doesn't say anything about climate or climate change. We're really talking about two different animals. One is very short term, and one is basically an adult human lifetime.
So what's the coldest weather you've ever been in?
Coldest weather I have ever been in that I'm sure what the temperature is 59 below here in downtown Tok in February of 2008.
So can you explain to someone who has never been in that kind of cold, what it's like, things you have to think about, what happens to yourself or to your vehicles, Because it's clearly different than the -20s to -30s experienced in other parts of the country.
Well, I think the hardest thing is are things mechanical. As temperatures fall below -40, mechanical things really start to break more easily, and really your margin for error at these really low temperatures is very small. Metal will shear off. There's not much room for error if your car breaks down. There's just a lot less room for maneuverability in these really low temperatures, and I think that's the biggest thing. The mechanical things start to go. Obviously, as we had in Tok here in early January, if you get 50s below for days on end, it's pretty tough to keep things like water systems from freezing up, propane from freezing up. All of those things make life at 40 below quite a challenge.
Now, I had an entire case of wine freeze over, but clearly wine freezes faster than other kinds of alcohol. At what temperature does alcohol freeze?
Pure alcohol is pretty low, lower than any atmospheric temperature, as far as I know. Most wine, of course, is only 10% or 15% alcohol. So the rest is mostly water. So.
Okay. Well, anything else you wanted to add to the Living in Tok blog audience?
Keep on visiting.